said earlier, this is a show that's helping you thrive and survive here in the U.S. Pagka po pinag-usapan ng thriving and surviving, the number one thing that you need to accomplish, get your permanent residency card or your U.S. citizenship. Kailangan po natin yan sa ating immigration update.
This American Dream segment is brought to you by Aquino & Lowe Law Firm, answering your immigration questions.
Attorney Allison Aquino, hello and welcome to Kababayan.
Hello, Janelle.
Okay, question. This is from a viewer, and like I said, you may also ask us questions if you need Allison Aquino and Richard Lowe's advice on immigration matters. This is a letter from Minneapolis, and it says, I've been married with an American citizen for 1.5 years. I have my 2 years green card. We are about to get divorced, and my question is, when I have to do my adjustment, the 10 years green card, can I get denied? So, in short, the question is, Allison?
In short, the person is concerned because whenever an individual does obtain a green card when the marriage is less than 2 years old, they're only given a temporary 2-year green card. And so the requirement in order to convert it from the temporary green card to the permanent 10-year green card is that you need to typically file a joint petition with a husband and wife in order to convert it to the 10-year green card.
I hear about this a lot. There's some people that get married. It's legit. It's a legitimate marriage, but then at the same time, within the first year, 2 years, they realize they're not compatible. They want to get a divorce, but they can't, and there's a lot of force to stay in the marriage just so they can get a green card. Is there any relief available to those people?
There is, and immigration is not, they're not naive. They do realize that relationships are difficult, and sometimes you do have all the good intentions and want to be married for the rest of your life, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. And so in this instance, for this gentleman, there is a waiver available. It's called the bona fide marriage waiver. And essentially, it requires that the person can prove that when he entered into the marriage, it was for legitimate and bona fide reasons and not just to obtain the green card.
And if he does that, or if they file that, will they need the cooperation of the partner?
They do not need the cooperation of the partner, but certainly it might be helpful if the person is willing to sign an affidavit or a declaration indicating that they as well believe that the marriage was bona fide, and just explaining how the marriage resulted in them getting divorced.
Okay, and what can this marriage waiver do for them?
So if the marriage waiver is granted, the conditional residency is removed, the person obtains the 10-year green card. The effect to U.S. citizenship is that it does delay it by 2 years.
Oh, okay. So instead of waiting 10 years, is that, or instead of being able to apply for citizenship after
3 years,
3 years, you apply after 5 years, which
Correct.
Is still okay.
Which is still okay.
But you get to stay here legally.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Now the concern with regards to the bona fide marriage waiver is timing, because in order to be granted, in order to even apply, you need to have the divorce finalized. So if an individual hasn't started the divorce proceedings or they haven't finalized it by the time the 2-year conditional green card is about to expire, they may need to apply for a different type of waiver. So there are a couple other different types of waivers, extreme hardship waiver. So they need to file that in order to maintain residency, and then once the divorce is finalized, switch the basis for the waiver.
Okay, I hope we were able to answer your question. Letter sender from Minneapolis. And again, if you want to consult with Attorney Aquino and Attorney Richard Lowe, that's the number to call on the screen. Here's another kind of waiver, Allison, provisional and lawful presence. What is that?
Yes, and this is something that was announced earlier this year by the Obama administration that they wanted to implement. And just on March 30th, the Department of Homeland Security published the regulations setting forth the requirements and procedures. And it's essentially a waiver that individuals need to apply for if they're subject to the 3-year or 10-year bar because they have been residing in the U.S. unlawfully.
Oh, okay. And what are the requirements for that?
So under this new program that's about to start, hopefully in the beginning of 2013, they have to be sponsored by an immediate relative. And so either a parent or a spouse, or if they're petitioning a child who's unmarried under 21, they can go ahead and apply for this provisional unlawful presence waiver here in the United States so that they obtain the results. They know if it's going to be granted or not before they depart the United States. And under this new program, it's very helpful because the individual, like I said, knows if it's going to be granted, and it also minimizes their required stay in the Philippines.
And so before they go to, if they're staying here unlawfully, they can then make their stay legal through this.
It doesn't make their stay legal, but it essentially waives that unlawful presence so that it doesn't bar them from obtaining their green card.
I see. But will they still need to go back to the Philippines?
They will still need to go back, but it's a lot. I mean, at that point, they can almost consider it a forced vacation because they do know that it should be granted and that they shouldn't encounter problems, and that it's just a matter of going back, touching base with the embassy, and
there won't be a bar.
And there would not be a bar because this provisional waiver will have already been granted.
Perfect. Okay, so many things we're learning during every other Wednesday here sa ating Immigration Update American Dream segment with Aquino and Low Law Firm. Thank you so much for explaining those terms with us today, or to us today. That's the number to call on the screen if you want to consult with them. Also, check them out online, and more power to you.
Thank you, Janelle.
We'll be back more in Kababayan, LA. Don't go away.